live from the SABC's Auckland Park studios. Welcome to this Tuesday edition of the Watchdog. My name is Vuyo Mvoko, and on the show tonight,
Alderman Tanya Campbell got 124.
She's back, but for how long is probably the big question. Re-elected Ekurhuleni Mayor and Day Councillor Tanya Campbell is my guest following her defeat of the ANC's Jongisizwe Dlabati. ANC Youth backs Zweli Mkhize for party president. They tell us why. Public sector workers intensify their protest actions, this as the government urges them to go back to the negotiation table. They speak to us a little later on. The Watchdog starts now. Day Councillor Tanya Campbell has been re-elected as Ekurhuleni Mayor at an extraordinary council meeting in Germiston, east of Johannesburg. This comes after she was ousted in an ANC-sponsored motion of no confidence 2 weeks ago. Today, she got 124 votes, beating the ANC's Jongisizwe Dlabati by 25 votes. Dlabati got 99.
The city of Ekurhuleni now has a mayor after 2 weeks of uncertainty. Tanya Campbell was reinstated in council after the EFF voted with the DA-led multi-party government in Ekurhuleni. The EFF withdrew its mayoral candidate, clearly indicating that negotiations with the ANC had collapsed. Campbell promised to schedule a meeting with the EFF. The ideologies of the DA and EFF differ radically and has led to coalition tensions in the past.
Maybe I was a bit cheeky to say I will see you again, but I did have an inclination because this motion was frivolous. It had very little basis to it. And also it was a personal attack, and it was a personal interest from the ANC.
Campbell has described the no-confidence motion by the ANC as an attempt to usurp power. She says the motion was ill-conceived and informed by selfish interest. But the ANC believes the motion was necessary to expose the DA's failure to deliver key services.
We lost with our pride and dignity intact because what we cannot allow is to be dictated to by anybody for any reason, and is to be treated as if we're not a very serious party. The ANC is a very big organization.
Masina has not ruled out another no-confidence motion sometime down the road. Balentle Mthethwa, SABC News, Johannesburg.
The re-elected Ekurhuleni Mayor joins us on the line. Good evening, Mayor. Thank you very much for your time. I suppose congratulations are in order.
Yeah, good evening, and thank you for having me.
A sigh of relief, or is it something you knew was going to happen?
Yeah, look, a sigh of relief because we can bring stability back into the city. We did have an inclination that this would happen, and we knew that it was totally premature and baseless. So yes, our focus can remain now back onto our residents and our communities out there that need the services right now.
Well, hence I said in my intro that for how long is probably the big question, because you owe to today's victory in no small measure to even those people who are not your natural or allies at the moment, like the EFF.
Yeah, look, according to the Act, every 6 months, a motion of no confidence can be brought to a mayor. However, it's my duty now to sit and have meetings, roundtable meetings, uh, and come together with issues that concern our residents and see where corrective measures can take place within our communities and come to conclusions that stability has to prevail in the city. As our coalition, we are very much stable in and on track and on message of what we're wanting to achieve. We have done the back to basics in all the communities. However, it would be ignorant of me to say that nothing can be improved. And of course, things have to improve in a manner that is for all our residents in Ekurhuleni.
Yeah, because I mean the reason I'm pointing this out, I mean our viewers will also have seen from the inset replay to set us up just now that the EFF withdrew its mayoral candidate. It was, of course, I mean, talks broke down between itself and the ANC, and in that piece, Mbalenhle says you are promising to schedule a meeting with the EFF. What are the chances of that yielding a march, if anything, given your federal executive's oppositional stance to working with the EFF?
Look, there are two separations here. One is a political, and one is when you are a mayor of a city and you are working with parties that have got the common interest of the city. The EFF is not the only party that I've had open door policy with. I have meetings with various other parties within the city, where we have meetings to say what is happening in the areas, what needs to be done in certain areas. And I think those discussions take place in all the cities. We are not discussing going into coalition. What we are discussing is to stabilize the city, to make sure that services come to our residents. But political coalitions are not for a discussion that we are going to be having within the city. We have those discussions that are purely based on what the needs of our communities are.
What would you regard as your most pressing or urgent issues to deal with? What are your priorities right now or this time around? In other words, what are you dying to do as soon as you walk into that office tomorrow morning?
I've already actually walked into the office. A lot of people said that I enjoy my 2 weeks leave. I was working behind the scenes. And one of the big issues that needs to be sorted out as a matter of urgency is the solid waste crisis throughout the city. We've already set up meetings for tomorrow morning. The city manager has already put processes in place. So yes, I've already taken the office seat this afternoon after I had interviews with the different media houses, and we already started strategizing my diary going forward for the week.
How did you get into this solid waste crisis in the first place? Because obviously you've only been out of office for a couple of weeks, so it's not something you can wash your hands off.
No, absolutely not. It is something that we gave quite a bit of attention to before I left the office. There were already programs and processes put into place, but however, that for the last 2.5 weeks has had to be put on bail, because now you don't have a mayor driving issues in a matter that actually does effective service delivery. So it absolutely isn't. I have asked the city manager to give me a report on where we are so that urgent measures can be taken from tomorrow onwards.
Now, but going forward, I mean, you would have had Mzwandile Masina there saying that they will look at yet another motion of no confidence. One, does that worry you? And secondly, what do you think you'll still be able to do, whatever, even if that eventuality or that materializes? Let's say further down the line they're able to bring another motion of no confidence. What is it that you think you'd still be able to do in whatever time you would have?
Yes, look, the ANC obviously does not have stability at mind. They are purely after positions for themselves. I cannot work on a elastic band mentality. Excuse me. So whatever I do is long-term processes. I said that from the beginning because I do work under the strenuous situation that we are not a majority as our coalition. However, we made an absolute decision that whatever we do would be long-term processes as well as short-term. But I cannot work on a elastic band mentality. When is it going to snap? Whatever I do, I have to go in with the idea that this program that I'm launching will be long-term. And if I don't do that, then I might as well say, well, there shouldn't be a mayor in the city. If the ANC want to destabilize the city, well, that's on them, and that's on their voters, that they are showing their true colors to their voters, that it is purely position-based. I've always said that if I had to be on the opposition benches, I would still do exactly what I'm doing. I have done this for 23 years, so it's not like I am desperate for positions. What I am desperate for is that our city gets cleaned up, that our city starts functioning properly, and that there is stability within our city.
Are you also not desperate to perhaps engage your political principles, perhaps in ways that you may not have done up until now? And I'm asking this because throughout the province, and I remember asking your provincial chairperson this as well the last time he was on the program, that for stability you need maximum cooperation from your own allies. These are the people who have or who vote with you, and we're not talking about the ANC this time around. In other words, to look perhaps at a much better management of your relationship with them to precisely ensure that there is the stability that the people of the city need.
With absolutely. I am in discussion with our national and our provincial team on a regular basis. We do sit and unpack what the problems are. Within our coalition teams, we have coalition management committees all the time as well. I think it's important to keep those channels open, not to be a dictator, but to actually get together as coalition partners and discuss what the problems are and what the solutions will be going forward. You will always have an external factor that hinders processes, but as the DA, we are focused to make coalitions work within the country, because we can see that this is where the country is going. We can see this is what the voters want. So it is up to us to do everything in our power to keep stable coalitions, to make sure that our coalitions work. And as for a minority coalition that we've had in Ekurhuleni, we have stood together all the time. I'm not saying we're without bumps and lumps, but we, at the end of the day, make sure that those are ironed out.
And that's really what, I mean, your partners have been asking for. Consideration of the fact that you have gone into or you become, occupying these positions in no small measure due to their support as well, but also a recognition of the fact that they too want to make a contribution. Well, congratulations once again, and all I can say is best of luck. Everyone is hoping for stability and of course service delivery, if not for the political party, at least for the benefit and sake of the people of Ekurhuleni. Thank you very much for agreeing to talk to us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Re-elected mayor of Ekurhuleni, Tanya Campbell, following of course that win she managed to secure this afternoon. She's back in the driver's seat. We will, of course, see what comes out of that. A little later on, we will, of course, be talking to the opposition, that is the ANC, about just how they feel. They did a short while ago issue a statement stating some of the positions that they hold, what happened today, and what they hope to do beyond today. We will be speaking to them in a while. But after this short ad break, we'll be talking to the ANC Youth League, who are going to tell us why they have decided to choose Zweli Mkhize as their preferred candidate for the position of ANC president come the party's December elective conference. Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. The ANC Youth League says it has identified people it believes are best placed to champion the cause of young people and rebuild the country's economy. Topping the list is the party's former Treasurer General, and that's Dr. Zweli Mkhize, who is regarded as the main challenger to incumbent Cyril Ramaphosa. Current Treasurer General Paul Mashatile has the League's vote for the position of Deputy President. They want Stanley Mathabata to be the National Chairperson, Fikile Mbalula as Secretary General, Nomvula Mokonyane for the position of Deputy Secretary, and Pule Mabe as Treasurer General. Sizophila Mkhize is the ANC Youth League Task Team's national spokesperson. She joins us on the line. Good evening, Sizophila. Thanks very much for your time. Perhaps take us back to that room on Saturday and on Sunday where you slugged it out and came to this list for the top 6 positions. What were the conversations, and how did you arrive at these names?
I think, firstly, good evening to you, Vuyo, and your viewers at home. Firstly, I think you'd understand that young people in their nature have differing views and different ideas. Therefore, it's not necessarily easy for young people to just get in one room and agree just in a split of a second on what should happen. So views were presented as we are going to a national conference of the ANC. We firstly deliberated on who is going to constitute our delegation, because remember the ANC Youth League is given 40 voting delegates in a national conference. So we firstly deliberated on that. We then moved into the deliberations of leadership, and it was under the supervision of the African National Congress. They had deployed one of their own who's an NEC member, and they've also deployed the elections agents that the ANC uses when there must be a process of voting. So we all agreed that let us all test our views, because seemingly we have differing views. Let us all test our views in a vote, and then let democracy prevail.
Mm-hmm. So, in other words, you voted on these names?
We voted on these names, and that is what the majority of the NYTT agreed on, and that is what now is a structural decision which every member of the NYTT must bind themselves with.
Now, beyond, you're saying your statement at least says that the engagements were robust. Did you go beyond the names of Zweli Mkhize and Cyril Ramaphosa for the position of president?
No. For the position of president, we had 3 names. We had a name of Comrade Dr. NDZ Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. We had Dr. Zweli Mkhize, and we had Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa. Those were the names that we had to vote on, and the results are what has been stated on our statement.
And on the deputy president and the chairperson, was just the candidate?
On the name of the deputy. On the name of the deputy president, there was no other name that was on a ballot for us to vote, except the name that was agreed upon, which is the name of Comrade Paul Mashatile, the current acting SG and also a Treasurer General of the.
And on the chairperson?
On the chairperson, there was a tie. We had to revote. There was a name of Comrade Masondo and a name of Comrade Stanley, and because there was a tie and we had to agree on revoting and see if we are not going to come back with different results, of which we did, and Comrade Stanley Matabata made it into our list on the because I figure that you are going to ask me one by one.
The Secretariat and the Treasurer General, yes, let's complete it.
On the opposition of the Secretary General, we only had 2 names that were raised. It was the name of Comrade Pumulo Mswale and Comrade Fikile Mbalula. We came back and the results, which were a democratic process of the NYT, told us that our candidate as the Youth League is going to be the former president of the ANC Youth League, Comrade Fikile Mbalula. We also agreed on Comrade Mamnomvula Mukonyane, but there was also a name of Comrade Mamfibi Potiche, and on Treasurer General, we had the name of the Eastern Cape chairperson and also a Premier, Comrade Oscar Mabuyane, and the name of Comrade Pulemabe, and we came out with the name of Comrade Pulemabe.
Now, from it's a numbers game. You only have 40. You're going to have about 40 delegates to the conference. And you're going to need the thousands that will be branch delegates, to give you the kind of outcome that you desire. Was that a consideration at all, or you told yourselves that these are the people we would want to lead the ANC, whatever anybody or any structure or whatever the branches may want to say is none of our business? Or were you strategic, in other words, knowing that, well, having sort of looked at the situation, having posed scenarios, the names we have will in all likelihood, give us the kind of outcome that we're looking for?
Look, if you were to check the names that we have raised, it's not just names that we are the only ones to start to speak about. Some of the branches of the ANC are already speaking about the names that we have raised. They're already nominating the names that we have raised. We understand also that we still have an obligation on our shoulders to go and lobby branches of the ANC, lobby provinces of the ANC, because we understand that they are also going to be going to their PGCs for official nominations. And we're going to be lobbying each and every person on what is the view of the ANC Youth League as far as leadership is concerned. But also, we are not only going to be going as voting cows in a conference of the ANC. If you read our statement, there's also a list of people that we have nominated, and we've cut out 80% of the old people that are currently in the NEC of the ANC, and we believe that we need a new blood. That is why we've filled the nominations of NEC members with a number of young people for us to be able to do what we have always been singing about, which is a generational mission and a generational takeover. We're also going to be meeting to discuss now policies and have stands and positions as the Youth League, also to discuss what is it that we want in constitutional amendments, because we believe that some of the things that are crippling the ANC is the fact that we take good policies, but we're not able to implement. We're also going to be holding the leadership, the current leadership, accountable, of course. They must be able to tell us what is it that they have done in the past 5 years that we elected them.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Well, that's where I was going next. I did look at the list of the 80 people you are recommending. It is indeed what you have just described. I mean, you and a lot of people who are currently in the national executive to be replaced by younger and people who you obviously have.
I'm losing you, Will.
Hi. I'm saying I have looked at the list of the 80 people you are recommending for the position, for the National Executive Committee, but you've just said what was the thinking behind that. But before I let you go, because we have run out of time, there's a couple of lines that I found particularly interesting in your statement before you actually list your preferred candidates for the top 6, but also for the 80 members of the National Executive Committee. And it reads, we need a leadership that will end load shedding, which has crippled our economy, and show access to land and transform the financial sector for the benefit of young people and indigenous people, which I suppose speaks to what you regard as priorities for the incoming leadership of the ANC. And then you go on to say, critically, we want an ANC president who will work with the collective, the alliance partners, and all youth structures to resuscitate the old culture that made no one feel alienated from the ANC for whatever reason. Is that how you feel as the ANC Youth League task team, that the current leadership, in particular your president, doesn't work with the collective or alliance partners or youth structures and, has done away with what you call the old ANC culture that made no one feel alienated?
I think, Vuyo, you are old enough to have been much alive, and I'm sure even in your journalism, you're already working by the year 2003, 2004. I might have still been young by then, but when you compare the state of the tripartite alliance, ANC, COSATU, and the party, you compare the state of the Progressive Youth Alliance to what it is today, it is supposed to tell you that not all is well, and it is supposed to give you a clear indication that we are not where we would have imagined to be as the ANC.
Quick last one. Our political editor, Mzwandile Mbeje, did an interview a few hours ago with the chairperson of the ANC in the Northern Cape. And during the course of that interview, he had something I found a little bit interesting. About why he thought, or maybe I should say, why he is going to vote differently from how you as the ANC Youth League would want to vote when it comes to the position of ANC president. Take a listen to what Zamani Saul had to say.
So you've got this president who's contesting for a second term, deeply committed at ensuring that the issue of state capture is concluded. Those who were involved in malfeasance, who looted the public purse, must be held accountable. So there's an opposing trajectory that is developing against him just because of that commitment. Yeah. And it's organizing themselves into a form of a line-up towards the national conference. And it won't be for the first time that such thing happened. We went to the 2007 conference. After that conference, within 6 months, the Scorpions were dissolved, isn't it?
They were.
So history can repeat itself. We are going now to the national conference, and one of the burning issues and very emotive issue around this conference is the status of the state capture report. As soon as this person who's committed to the state capture report does not win in that conference, let me tell you, the likelihood is within the first 6 months of next year, that report will be thrown out of the window.
Sizopila, what do you think of what Zamani Saul has to say there?
It's defeating, really. It's defeating, really. And in whatever that he said, nothing is going to change the lives of the people of South Africa. In whatever that he has said, nothing is going to assist young people who are unemployed, young people who are deep in poverty. In everything that he has said, he's protecting his job and himself. There is nothing that he has said really that can bring hope to the people. All these reports, all of them, and by the way, I think you'll see that the people that we have nominated, we have picked from different factions because we don't want to be factional and we don't want to view people with factional lenses. But also people must not push us or provoke us in a way when we end up seeing them in factional lenses, because we don't want to do that as young lions. Look, there is nothing that these comrades these days are saying that is supposed to inspire hope to young people, inspire hope to the people of South Africa. In everything that he has said, he's not speaking about the fundamental issues that are facing people each and every day. We had a GPV summit, Vuyo, just last week. There was no accountability whatsoever. It was just another talk show. How long can we continue to have talk shows, make promises, come back for summits? We say we're reporting on what has been done, but when you really look at the reports, there is nothing that has been done. Nothing.
Let me thank you so much, Kabazalo, for your time this evening. Really
thank you very much.
That, of course, is the national spokesperson of the National Youth, the ANC Youth League National Task Team. Let's go back to where we started earlier. The man who came up against Tanya Campbell in Ekurhuleni, Jongizizwe Dlawati, joins us on the line. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for your time. Disappointed, obviously, by the outcome of that extraordinary meeting that ended up electing Tanya Campbell.
No, thank you very much, Bravuyo. Good evening to you and the listeners. Certainly, we are disappointed, but the spirit is not down. We strongly believe that us putting in a motion, it has actually given us an opportunity to expose the state of the city, which is really dire and collapsing. And it was on those bases that our motion was successful, which was our fundamental objective, that the community in Ekurhuleni must be aware that the city is heading towards the wrong direction. Sadly, even though that the motion was successful, some of the political parties continued to enable a white DA minority-led coalition to ascend again into the responsibility of presiding over the city. Be that as it may, the ANC caucus is committed to continue to exercise strong political oversight so as to ensure that the pressing issues which gave rise to our successful and initial motion of no confidence against Tanya, we continue to hold them to account and scrutinize the manner in which they are discharging their responsibilities.
But why would you blame other political parties and not yourselves? Perhaps how you managed the process leading up to today? Because if one listens to what Mzwandile Masina had to say in the piece we played earlier, clearly you were divided among yourselves as the ANC about how to approach today.
No, that is entirely untrue. The ANC was not divided. That is why we went into council and we presented a candidate of the ANC. I said, sadly, it's unfortunate that we did not have the majority. And we're not blaming anyone else. We are proud that we've mounted a motion which led us to go into council again and to attempt to re-elect those that are fit for purpose. Of course, other political parties, they don't owe us any explanation or any allegiance, but we continue to appreciate those political parties who found it in their heart to support the African National Congress in their quest of making sure that we bring the city to where it belongs. Our concern, Bravuyo, is that the current leadership, as led by the DA, is not fit for a purpose. That is why service delivery is spiraling down in the city of Ekurhuleni. That is why we are in a serious collapse insofar as the financial state. Service providers are not being able to be paid, and that is why our townships are not being serviced. All of these are attributed to the current leadership of the DA. And what we are saying is that when we say, sadly, it is because many of the political parties actually echoed the sentiment of our motion. And we would have thought that on the basis of that, they will continue to support the change in the leadership so that those that are fit for a purpose are given the responsibility to turn the tide.
Masiabo Felitole, because everything you've just described, you could have gotten, one would imagine, if you had successful negotiations or conversations with, in particular, the EFF. What happened there? Why could you not find one another with the EFF?
The ANC caucus, Bravo, did not seek permission from any political party when it was putting a motion. It was a pure motion of the African National Congress, which resonated with many political parties, and some decided to abstain, but they would have spoken on the motion, sharing the same sentiment that gave rise to the motion. And I still want to repeat that the ANC does not operate on the basis of approval or wishes that a certain political party will do A or B for us. We are in opposition, and we were simply exercising our responsibility as the African National Congress. Because if we want to get approval from a political party, for us to submit a motion that must successfully remove the mayor, if that political party does not agree with us, it simply means that the ANC for the next 5 years will fold its arm and not submit a motion. So a motion, it is part of the tool that is provided by council for a party that is in opposition to expose the state of the city. And of course, we were hoping that it was equally going to be successful in ensuring that we put in place those that are fit for purpose. So much as we are disappointed, we are extremely excited that in the public domain, it is now quite clear that the city is collapsing, and it is quite clear that it is only the African National Congress that continues to be concerned about the welfare of the people.
Can I be blunt? Is it not true that as the ANC caucus in the council, you didn't take kindly to your leadership imposing a view or a position? Hence, you decided to do what you have done.
No. Again, that is untrue. Because the caucus of the ANC is a special branch of the ANC in government. And it can't defy any clear instruction from the leadership of the African National Congress. So I must be honest with you that it's extremely untrue. We did what we did in the best interest of the African National Congress as guided accordingly.
So at no point did the leadership of the ANC come to you to say, hey, if you agree to do this, the EFF will come or vote with us, and this is what will happen next. At no point as the ANC caucus did you find yourself in that situation?
Yeah, you see, again, in terms of internal organizational protocol, the leadership of the PC, for instance, Bravuyo, you would know that it speaks to the regional executive committee. It doesn't come to the ANC caucus and negotiate with them.
Okay.
It gives directives to the ANC caucus. That is why I'm saying that which we have advanced today, it's something that we have advanced accordingly and in the best interest of the African National Congress.
Alderman Jongizizwe Dlabati, let me thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you.
He is, of course, the ANC's whip at the city of Ekurhuleni. After the break, we talk about, well, let's go straight, in fact, to that story. Government workers under the Public Servants Association will embark on a national shutdown of services on Thursday. Striking workers from all the 9 provinces are expected to gather in Pretoria for a march to the National Treasury's offices to submit a memorandum of demands. PSA members staged a lunchtime picket at the Department of Public Service and Administration today as a build-up to that Thursday strike. Workers have rejected government's proposed 3% wage offer. They want government to increase their salaries by 10%. Welcome back. Government workers under the Public Servants Association are embarking on a national shutdown of services on Thursday. I'm joined on the line by Claude Naika, who is from the Public Service Association. I'm also joined by December Mavuso, who is the Deputy General Secretary of the National Education, Health and Allied Workers Union, and that's NEHAW. Good evening to both of you gentlemen. Thanks very much for your time.
Good evening, Will.
Thank you very much for having us.
No going back for you. Thursday it is.
Absolutely. We've not seen anything tangible coming forward from government to try and resolve this impasse. We've also issued our strike notice on the 3rd of November, and now we've already started staging our lunchtime pickets. On Thursday, there will be a nationwide march across all provinces by all PSA members and in all government departments. Today, picketing in front of the DPSA offices, representatives of the employer, went very well. And we're hoping that there's some sanity prevails by government. We'll try and resolve this impasse, but there doesn't seem to be any thing forthcoming from them. We've just heard that they intend implementing the salary offer unilaterally come on the 15th of November. So this has just infuriated us as the PSA, and we definitely will intensify our efforts to continue on the industrial action. Come the 10th on Thursday, as I said, we will be full-blown march across all provinces.
December, you are not there yet. Yes, you are and have been picketing, but you have not decided to go on strike just yet.
Not yet. As you remember that we were in the consultation on which ended on the 31st without any positive outcome. So we had to go back, report to members in terms of where we are. We've been consulting with our structures. Just today, we've finished meetings with all provinces, which started yesterday and concluded today. We will be meeting on Friday to finalize details of what we're going to do. But definitely, there's no turning back also for us. The action is inevitable. We are preparing to serve the notice as soon as we conclude our process on Friday.
I don't know if any of you has seen, or both of you have seen the statement released by the government this afternoon. It reads in part, having considered the risks of public servants not receiving any salary increases for this financial year if the process of wage negotiations are not concluded in time for the 2022 MTBBS as outlined by the Finance Minister, the Acting Minister of Public Service and Administration indicated that he would be implementing the last salary offer for the public servants that was tabled at the PSCBC following the facilitation process by both trade unions and the employer at the PSCBC. And that's what you were talking about, Claude, that they're going ahead and they're going to unilaterally, as you said, implement the last wage offer they made.
Well, yeah, it's rather premature, a little bit arrogant, I think, from the state, especially that we are in dispute mode. It's, I think, only the second time that government has implemented an offer unilaterally. you would remember that the trust deficit between unions and the government came to a severe dent in 2020 when government refused to pay the third-year salary agreement for public servants. And that caused a major problem between us and the state, especially trusting the government to pay salary increases. The fact that they now going ahead and implementing it unilaterally, this shows you the state of collective bargaining, not only in the public sector, but it'll have serious consequences for the private sector as well. Because if we do start negotiating or commence negotiations next year, and if we do reach a stalemate, or if negotiations are for some reason delayed between us and the state, the employer can unilaterally implement it. So what does that say for collective bargaining? There's no need for collective bargaining in future. All we do is go there, present our demands, employer says we can't afford it, and then they implement unilaterally. And I think this is the time where all our members need to realize that if we don't stand and be counted now, collective bargaining is dead in the public service. Negotiations will come to severe halts, come to a severe grind, and there's no need for unions' existence in the PSCBC anymore. So we call on all members on Thursday to join us in solidarity on this attack on collective bargaining.
Well, on that very same point, Claude is making December, the statement, the government statement reads in part, the implementation of this offer should not be seen as undermining collective bargaining and the processes of the PSCBC. You beg to differ as well, obviously.
Well, it is completely misleading. We said so immediately after the minister announced in Parliament that which the minister did there was completely wrong, misleading. Firstly, he had no business discussing the details of the negotiations in the PSCBC in Parliament. We are not in Parliament, we are not represented in Parliament. Secondly, they behave as if they are caring for these public servants. So by implementing 3%, is not caring for the public service. The inflation is spiked in July, as you know, and therefore 3% is next to nothing. But secondly, the 1,000 rands that they are talking about as if it's a new offer, it was already there. It was already budgeted for in 2021. It's money that was already declared. It was in the budget. But the question should be asked, if negotiations were concluded in July, where were they going to get the money? If the argument is we were forced to factor this in the budget review. It is completely misleading.
In the words of the minister, December, he insists, unizamile.
Well, that's an insult to public servants. It shows the disdain in which public servants are treated. But this is nothing else other than the continuation of eroding the rights of workers, undermining collective bargaining. The Minister of Public Service and Administration is in the ILO now, pretending as if the South African government cares about collective bargaining. This is a continuation of undermining collective bargaining, but also this is located within the austerity program that government is implementing. And by the way, we're made to look like we only care about ourselves as public servants. We don't care about the public at large. In fact, this austerity budget that was presented in Parliament does not only affect the conditions of service of our members, it affects delivery of public services. If you look at the dilapidating state of health infrastructure, in different sectors, the vacancy rates that are created by moratorium that is imposed to government departments in provinces and national affects public service delivery. So this is just that. It's located within that fiscal framework of government, which does not take us anywhere. And at the same time, we have a government that is talking developmental state. You can't talk development state if you don't resource the public service, if you don't improve the conditions of a public service, if you don't fill vacancies in the frontline services. The two can coexist.
Quick one, Claude. Which areas of the public service may be affected by your strike on Thursday?
Yes, we call upon all members that are in non-essential departments, especially the service departments like Home Affairs, where your ID and your passports are processed. Department of Transport in quite a number of provinces, they process driver's license as well as a motor vehicle license. Those that are manning the border controls, as well as certain ports, they will definitely be effective. Department of Economic Affairs, Forestry, Fisheries, especially Department of Employment and Labour, where the minister is responsible for. You have inspectors that are responsible for monitoring health and safety in workplaces. They will obviously be joining us in the strike action. So quite a number of government service departments will be severely affected come on Thursday.
And a quick one, December, any idea when your processes will be complete before you can then decide whether or not you will also be doing what PSA members have decided to do?
As I indicated, we're meeting on Friday. Remember, we are 6 unions under COSATU that were in the conciliation. So it is not just Nehao, it is the police, POCRO, it is DINOSA, it is Samadu, the doctors, it is the emergency services, SAEPO. So we are working together to prepare for this. So it takes a bit of time because of that. It is a large section of the membership of the public service. So on Friday, we're having the meeting to put final touches, and we will make an announcement after that. We will actually convene a press conference to make an announcement.
Okay, thanks to both of you for coming through this evening. Claude Naika is the national spokesperson of the Public Servants Association. December Mavuso is the Deputy General Secretary of the National Education, Health and Allied Workers Union, and that's Nehao. That brings us to the end of tonight's program. Do join us again tomorrow. Have a good night.